so excited to bring you such an exceptionally amazing mover and shaker on the planet. Her name is Dawn Montefusco. I know her as Zigzag, and she's got a little story about what that means. She's a transformational writing coach, and she's doing some powerful, powerful things on the planet. She always has since I've known her. She's amazing. She's such a delight. So I read this on her Facebook profile, and I just thought, oh yeah, she's my girl. She's my girl. So it says, I am a human of Earth, responsible for leadership, management, devotion of being in the present moment, supporting the team of humanity in raising awareness. So I give you Dawn.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. So my crew knows me as Zigzag. That was a nickname that I got about a little over 20 years ago. And my mother was like, you should make it your first name, just like Cher. And I was like, maybe my middle name. Let's have a little wiggle room here. It's my superpower name. But what happened is really, life is never a straight line. There's a quote from the I Ching someone had told me about that says, or the Tao Te Ching, excuse me, that says the way of the sage is the zigzag way. Now, I'm not trying to be a sage, but when this nickname had caught on, basically because I'm an introvert that's tenaciously social, so I zig and I zag, and I love staying home and with my hoodie and writing, and then when I'm out, I'm like, woohoo! But someone said, what it really means for you is, and for everyone, is that there's no straight lines. Get this, there's no straight lines in the universe ever, only man-made. So only a man-made straight line, because everything meanders in order to get to where it needs to go, and nothing is a straight line. So when we trust that, we trust our own inner zigzag, we will actually get much quicker and much easier to where we need to go. It's when we're white knuckling it and thinking, I have to do it this way, and we're not trusting the universe, we're not trusting God and Goddess, that's when things go wrong. So I've been really happy to have this as a nickname and a middle name now, to remind me to just let go of the wheel and let the universe guide.
Wow, I love that so much. I feel like I needed to hear that in this exact moment, because I can sometimes be a perfectionist and want to do everything correctly. Oh, yeah. And dot my I's and cross my T's, and that's not actually authentic, and it's not the way it is. And here we are, And
I'll tell you another great quote that you'll love is Reid Hoffman, who invented LinkedIn. He has a great quote that I think everyone needs to hear, especially right now with all of us being online. If you're not embarrassed by your first launch, you have launched too late. Think about that, because that takes away the perfectionism. The idea isn't we do it right the first time. The idea is we do it and then we correct, and we do it and we correct. Now, if you're making a car or a refrigerator, you probably want it to work the first time. But because we're in all these other beautiful services that we get to offer, it's not about doing it perfect. It's actually about being human and embracing that little bit of a messiness. And that's what gets us to where we need to go. So
I love that. I love that, Zigzag. Oh, I love it so much. So, and I do want to keep calling you Zigzag even more now. Yeah. Is that okay?
No, I always say, call me Zigzag. You're in the crew, in the club. Yeah.
So that leads right into my first question is, what does the divine feminine mean to you?
Well, that's a great question. And it's fascinating. So I had an unfortunate childhood with a very abusive mother, both psychologically and physically. And she didn't mean it. She was a young mother. She had her own stressors. However, she's a strong woman, and it actually made me afraid of women. And I didn't even know that I was afraid of women until later in life, like in my early 40s, when I finally realized I didn't have a lot of women friends. I had mostly guy friends because my father and I had a great relationship. And so my experience of men was safer, you know, that kind of thing. Like when my dad died, it shifted in it. And I almost think that was the shift, because that was right around when it shifted. And I was gifted with so many beautiful, strong women around me. And they actually helped me heal the wound that I had as a child. And I thought, this is fascinating. You know, there's something really healing in here. And now I love women. And now I feel that it's the feminine that actually creates everything. I have a client who's actually writing a book about her activation and seeing that the stars and the feminine energy is what is the original creator. I mean, it makes sense, right? Women make babies, we create. And it needs to be balanced with the masculine, right? There's a balance there. But the divine feminine, which has been suppressed, unfortunately, for quite some time, is now being released with more strength, more compassion, more, I mean, it's known now. This is what's crazy that I love. In order to be a good leader, we have to embrace being gentle and neutral in order to assess a situation so we can create healing. And that's actually a feminine trait, right? The masculine trait is, you know, protect, hunt, go. And that's okay. It's great, you know, but it's the blending of that. And now that we've had so much time to, you know, study leadership and look at leadership, the greatest leaders are the ones that are calm and gentle. And we know from Brené Brown's work that vulnerability is strength. Now, if you want to go even further than that, David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force, who studied the vibration of all of our emotions, and he spends the first half of the book, I love this, he says, if you already get this, you don't have to read the first half of the book. The first half of the book is for people who are doubting this, which I love that so he spends the first half of the book explaining the science. He was accepted in every scientific community because of his work on this. And when you're in the lower vibrations, the lowest being shame is the closest to death that they've vibrated. And then you have depression, and then it goes up. Anger is actually, as long as you're not taking action in anger, feeling anger is actually a higher vibration than depression and shame. But what's crazy is when you go into the more positive and the higher vibrational moments, courage is before neutrality, because it takes courage to be neutral. And then once you can embrace the courageousness of yourself to be neutral, which is a very feminine trait, right? Neutrality, looking for the community, seeing if everybody's okay, making sure the children are okay, the family's okay. That's a very neutral space. It actually takes courage to do that. So most people think of courage as being tough. I mean, I was brought up in the South Bronx in the 70s and 80s in one of the most dangerous places in the world at the time, with weapons taped to me just to go to school and back, learning self-defense, you name it. My father was a vigilante. I was trained as a foot soldier as a kid, and being courageous meant being tough, which did not serve me later in life, right? Because that toughness actually brought me down in that vibration. When I finally realized that courage is actually being neutral and then brings you all the way up to joy, it occurred to me that those were energies and vibrations that were very feminine. So the divine feminine, to me, is a very strong, beautiful energy that serves as an example to help others embrace their divine feminine, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. And I also want to say that androgyny, which I believe is the highest level of God, goddess, God, the it, she, he mode of the fabric, the cosmic fabric that holds us all together. That is an androgynous energy that embraces both at the same time, that there is no lack of one or the other. It's just this really beautiful dance. And so as we move into the divine feminine and men embrace the divine feminine, we actually start to move towards this place of calm, and I just see it as gentle and very strong, like so strong that it's almost foreign to us, at least in the States, that the divine feminine has so much strength. So to me, it's a very strong position. And to me, I think that it's a responsibility for everyone to embrace the divine feminine in order to help the evolution of the planet.